Hey, let's dive into what is next for an ETF. Of course, the big news on ETH's approval makes you think what could be next. Well, today we're going to break it down for you. You guys are going to love it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get into it. There's going to be a few tokens we'll dive into. You guys can skip to the one you want because there's a whole slew that have a potential to win today, so you don't want to miss it. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem. Self-custody is the step for you. If you're brand new to crypto, or maybe you're just getting started, now is the time to do it. And that is getting your tokens off of centralized exchanges and into your own custody. Just go over to Tangem website, tangem.com, and you can, of course, get into your own wallet. So slim as a bank card, secure as a bank vault, store, buy, earn, transfer, and swap thousands of coins and tokens just by using this card and a handy app. That's all you need, and you now have a self-custody wallet. Choose the 3-card option. It will give you an extra backup, and it's the best way to go. Use that and our code, and it's going to get you some discounts. Let's go to a couple of things, of course. SEC now potentially in deep trouble with the crypto cases after the Ethereum ETF approval. And I think this is something we've been talking about quite a bit, is it really paves the way for a lot of different projects of becoming a non-security. And of course, that is now the case, what we're going to be seeing more and more of. And I think the question that everybody's asking is what could be next? Here's Watcher Guru says, Standard Chartered Bank says Solana and XRP ETFs could launch in 2025. If they're saying 2025, we could see that maybe earlier. So think about the speed in which, one, we've got regulatory alignment now going through the House and Senate. You've got all of the scenarios that are playing out in the ETF craze, and most likely a repositioning of the macroeconomic conditions here in the United States, all make for a very interesting time as a lot of these firms will start to look for the next power play. We're going to get a Sol ETF. This came in from, of course, Mr. Scaramucci. I'll see him at Consensus next week, which we will be at. Consensus next Thursday. I believe Thursday night is when John Deaton's thing is going on. So check it out if you guys are down there in Austin. Swing by or tweet me. Maybe we'll meet up. All right, so when you analyze 21 shares and you kind of think about what's already working out there within these funds, what could be the next tasty tidbit for ETFs, you have to kind of look at the performance factor. And the performance factor, of course, if you look at Solana leading the way, almost $1 billion in AUM in terms of assets under management. And then you move into things like XRP and even Avalanche coming in as well. So all of this could be and point to, I think, a lot of very interesting projects that could be perfect for the next ETF. All right, so moving through just to kind of get an idea of what the media is saying, this is a good example of what these market analysts are looking at. You've got ETH on the board there, Bitcoin, and guess what? Solana also on there. And it's not necessarily just them. This is all over the place. Here, of course, is CNBC talking about this, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and XRP also on the board. Now, that usually means that you've got interest, but more importantly, you've got media support. And I think that's another factor that plays into a lot of this around where this is going. The other thing you have to look at is where Hong Kong is. And if you think about the power players in Hong Kong, what are they interested in? Here's OSL. This is one of the asset managers over there. And if you look at some of the projects that they're holding in, XRP, Chainlink, you kind of go into the HKD markets. There's Bitcoin, XRP again, ETH, XRP, and even further into it, handling more and more of that. So I think, you look at these kind of signals. Signals are really the thing that you should consider, especially as we start to look at interest levels, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a situation where an ETF is going to have interest. And I think that both from assets under management and the financial advisors that are offering it, but also from the retail markets and the investment community. Here's HSBC. Now remember, this is something that has been tokenized. They did the first tokenization of gold. And if you kind of compare this was done on XRP. So very interesting points here, of course, as we start to see more alliances to what XRP could be the case going forward here. So why is gold moving so quickly right now? There's a couple of investment things that are happening. Listen into this clip.
There's actually one super old industry that's seeing a big bounce from the millennial generation. We're talking about gold. Investors in that demographic hold an average of 17% of their portfolios in gold. That compares to about 10% for baby boomers, according to State Street data from 2023. Gold is often seen as a hedge against inflation and against economic downturns. Gold prices have pulled away from the stock market in terms of returns. Over the long term, though, the stock market has handily beat gold as an investment. Zoom out even further, and gold has vastly underperformed the wider stock market. People have gotten so interested in gold that wholesale giant Costco began selling these 24-karat gold bars in its stores. Costco is having trouble keeping them on store shelves. Wells Fargo estimates that Costco is making between $100 and $200 million per month selling these gold bars. Costco reports its next quarterly earnings results on May 30th, and so at that point, we'll get a peek on how much money they're actually making on gold.
All right, so another area to look at is over on Algorand. This, of course, is Meld Gold on Algorand, and this will also play into the potential. If you look at the chart right now on gold, you can kind of see the growth there, about 13%, but if in comparison to digital assets, maybe not quite as active, but the fact that it has been growing and there's interest in the millennial audience, okay. Here's Algorand's most recent ad as well. Let me kind of clip to this. This was just them kind of promoting it.
You guys take Bitcoin, right?
Sure do.
I'm going to be paying with Ethereum, if that's okay.
Okay, yep, no problem.
It's a good thing I'm paying with Solana. And there we go.
Oh, it failed. Try it again. Whoa, hold up there, sport. It looks like it's gonna be another 27 minutes before this transaction clears.
What? Sorry, $112? I have like 3 things.
Ethereum, they got that peak hour gas thing.
Now you got it.
Maybe one more time.
I think it's gonna work this time.
Nope.
How do I get in that line?
All right, so I love that commercial. That's actually a good tongue-in-cheek commercial out there for sure. And don't forget, you know, other interested parties in Algorand were none other than Mr. Gary Gensler. Here was him talking about his Algorand at his MIT course. And remember, he is also kind of buddy-buddy with Silvio Micali, who is the creator of Algorand. All right, so here's Chainlink. Of course, they put this tweet out right after the ETF approval on ETH. And they kind of set it up here on financial products. Also the next step, which is bring global finance on chain. And this may be one of the reasons as well. I want to go to a clip real quick where it explains it a little bit more. Listen in.
But then the real world asset token would need to be informed by various data. So for a gold coin, you would need to know that there's gold in the vault. And then you need other information about the asset's valuation, price, and so on. So we basically allow real world asset tokens to come into existence because as the longest running provider of proof of reserves, we are the ones basically making that possible, is the ability to make a token that doesn't just statically represent something, but that is consistently updated with the status of the thing it represents, which is what makes it a real world asset.
All right, so if you look at another area, one of these, of course, is going to be semiconductors. Now, I know you're probably thinking, no way, what's that got to do with crypto? Well, there are a couple of points. ProShares right here, then right here, number 4 is Dexion. This is a semiconductor. This is another top ETF out there. So if you think about where the top ETF interests are, then you have to go in and look at who would be the player on the chip side of things, whether it's cloud compute, et cetera. You kind of get the connection. Well, here is Render. Render is the only crypto partner with all 4 of the largest companies in the world: Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, and Alphabet, Google. So that in itself could put Render playing into this, or even maybe like a near protocol. But the point being, and we'll talk about that in a second, is if you look at the top 2 just by volume, here's Near and Render going neck and neck right here. Now Near, of course, quite a bit larger. You know how much we like Render, what its potential capacity could be going forward. So definitely a potential here as well. All right, so here's Hashkey Exchange. Think of this, one of the major exchanges in Hong Kong. Look at their volumes right here. Let me zoom in on this just a little bit here. As we float, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, moving on, Tether, and then guess who's number 11? Render, right there. Avalanche, right on their heels. So a lot of interest there as well. So this could be one of the players as well that could be the next ETF going forward. I want to go to our next clip that gets into why maybe even Near protocol could be outlined in this as well. Listen in.
And what do you think is the next currency then to be under consideration?
As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Solana and Near are now vying for that ETH ETF.
All right, so if you think about that, whether it's Near and Solana, what she was mentioning there, the other opportunity there is Render. There's a connection there with NVIDIA. The two teams there, I think, have a lot of alignment. Plus, Wall Street likes those narratives because this gets into the bigger upline in terms of overall tech, Google, Alphabet, and so on. So I want to go further into this. This, of course, is none other than Michael Saylor. And this is a good clip because he explains maybe the connection to some of this upside tech. Listen in.
By the end of May, you'll know that Ethereum is not going to be approved. And when Ethereum is not going to be approved, sometime this summer, it'll be very clear to everyone that Ethereum is deemed a crypto asset security, not a commodity. After that, you're going to see that Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, everything down the stack is just a crypto asset security unregistered. None of them will ever be wrapped by a spot ETF. None of them will be accepted by Wall Street. None of them will be accepted by mainstream institutional investors as crypto assets. There won't be another one this decade. Between the year 2024 and the year 2030, the die is cast, the writing is on the wall. This is the winner. There is no second best. The goal, of course, is let people to sign messages, to sign documents, to prove their identity, and to integrate this into all sorts of corporate systems. And, and it could appeal to every company. There's no way that Apple wants to trust Google. There's no way that Google wants to trust Meta, right? And so how do you build a system for millions of counterparties that maybe don't trust each other, and how do you plug it right into an enterprise system?
All right, as much as I like Saylor, I mean, he missed on so many fronts there. Obviously, he missed on the situation with the ETFs. He missed on, Bitcoin becoming the only one, the alpha dog, and he missed on the potential regulatory alignment. He missed on the Wall Street adoption. They have already clearly showed that there's interest in it. Now, of course, we'll see that with the ETH performance. That will probably tell the tale. And then he's going to miss on the future of other assets coming in. Now he's missing on the point that Bitcoin is the answer for corporations to trust each other. Well, really, there's already this out there, and it's a project out there you guys know as Hedera. Hedera could be another one of these. And again, remember, Hedera has these governing councils. Look at the companies that are on here. I'm going to zoom in on just some of those. All right, we're not talking about average companies. There's BitGo, Boeing, Chainlink, Hitachi, Google, IBM, Standard Bank, etc. The opportunity here for Hedera to maybe tie in the next future opportunity around blockchain and become an ETF is there as well. So this all points to a lot of different potentials. I've got a clip here from Hedera that is a little bit more tuned in to how these councils work. Take a look.
Right, if we want to say, is Hedera centralized compared to Ethereum or Bitcoin? What matters is how many parties are required to be involved to make fundamental changes to the platform. In Ethereum, a handful of people control enough tokens in their proof of stake system that they can make changes. In Bitcoin, same thing. It's just a fallacy for people to think that because there are 28 organizations today, growing to 39, that are required to participate, that somehow that is more centralized than the handful that really control Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's just not true.
All right, so there was Mance Harmon, one of the leads over at Hedera. We've had Hedera on the show many times, and of course, keep your cash. Your kids prefer virtual money. This is something that, as you saw right there with how some millennials, a little bit of the older crowd of millennials are investing in gold. Well, what we're seeing now is the potential of the next generation that will be completely digital in terms of how their digital cash. So let me play this next clip for you to show you where this is going.
Apparently, more kids are telling their parents that they would rather be paid in Robux than receive cash for their household chores. Certainly, the world has changed. There was a 12-year-old that was quoted in here saying that if she were to get real money or spend money in real life, she'd have to ask her parents to take her to the store. They would have a say in what she's getting. Now she has control over what she's buying on Roblox. She has a point.
It's all digital money that they ask for. Typically, my son wants gambling money on FanDuel or DraftKings, but that's a whole nother story. But most of these kids...
Well, that's kind of similar. You could see this.
Yeah, most of these kids do want it in some type of digital currency. And I guess the concern is they don't really understand the value of a dollar. Some of them like that their kids are, they think, learning in this digital space.
I don't know how I would feel about my kids spending hard-earned money on Robux. But I guess, like you were saying, your kids spending it on gambling.
Yeah, I think this is just an evolution that always takes place in any transformation of demographics. And that's what's happening really right now between, Gen Z and millennials. So it's not surprising. I think we're going to see more of this. So when you think about that and you look at, well, what would be the potential project out there that could lean into that? Well, that would be Avalanche. Avalanche, of course, now launching a new gaming chain appears. You've got GameStarter now launching on GameChain. All of this, if you look at this, and we've done many videos on Avalanche. If you look at this video that we did, gosh, how long ago was it? 6 months ago. This was just 6 months ago. I froze it right here to show you guys the subnets that were available at that time. This 6 months, that was John Wu, their president of Avax. All right, so this is the subnet as of today. And we've got Pulsar highlighted here, but you've got Lamina in here also. There's Lamina coming alive. If you look at Pulsar, look at the size and transaction levels that Pulsar is driving in terms of overall transaction. That in itself is pretty intriguing because all it's going to take is one big hit to really make this become a viral notion. So that in itself also has a great opportunity, I think, for Avalanche to become a top tier potential. All right, so let's take a look at Lamina. Lamina, this is Neil Stevenson, author of Snow Crash. This, of course, project is out there now. It is launching very quickly. In fact, it's kicking off on the 28th. That's next week. This, of course, gets into some, again, very interesting connections. I want to take this further into a clip that talks about Avalanche and Meta. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Listen in.
And it's early days, and it's a kind of pure engineering project at this point. But we're building a chain that that can bring the benefits of that kind of technology to as many builders as we can reach.
So for example, if I were one of those builders, I would build an application into some metaverse system, and underlying it, identity and other things would be stored on your blockchain layer. Can you give some advice to Chris? Chris is a top-down company, a big, important, valuable company building out this. What should he be doing to match this vision, or is it impossible for a large centralized company like Facebook, like Meta, to do that? You've got one of the most powerful people right here.
So I'm not sure how much he's empowered or willing to divulge in the way of proprietary data about those plans, but right now the image that one has of Facebook and other big social media companies is very much that of a centralized, top-downish kind of organization.
I mean, one thing about at least the development of Facebook and Instagram is a lot of it is focused on giving tools to creators. We're going to see spaces that are built by, startups and shops. I think how those interoperate is the most important conversation for making sure that we don't sort of accidentally sort of step on each other's toes.
So is there a connection between Lamina and Meta and Avalanche? That would be a very intriguing play. If that were to come and be true, Avalanche would quickly move up the ranks in terms of a potential for an ETF. If you look at Amin here, this, of course, CEO at Avax over there at Avalanche, massive upgrades coming this year, a lot more scalability. I'll zoom in on that tweet just so you kind of know what's coming its way. What this simply means is that Avalanche should be able to go much faster and much larger than even what it has now. You just saw the subnets kind of exposed right there. The other thing I want to kind of hit on here is Grayscale. We'll wrap up on this. These are the core asset, holdings of Grayscale. You've got Bitcoin, of course, is number one. ETH right there behind it. And then, of course, Solana, XRP, and Avalanche. So if I were considering a ranking, if you put our list in here, I would probably still say that Solana would probably most likely be the number one pick for me. Then I would go with XRP. Then probably Chainlink or Avalanche as number 3, 4, and that could go either way depending on some key things that could happen in terms of the tech development. The point is here, guys, is that we are going to see other ETFs in the digital assets realm that I think are going to revolutionize the way that Wall Street thinks about this, but also how companies will start building their own businesses around advancing this technology forward. So unfortunately, Michael Saylor was wrong in a big way. This is a new day. And I think from here forward, we're going to see a lot new and more innovation of where all this is going to be going. If you guys are not tuned into the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in now. It's a great place to get additional content. Follow me on X @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechBath.